योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोतं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि। आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिम्।
Hope you've been finding the episodes useful so far. In today's episode, we will be seeing Virasana. Vira means warrior or hero. This is a pose in which the knees are joined, the heels are apart, and the practitioner sits between the two heels. In this position, the spine is tall and upright while the thighs are pressed firmly down. This is an important pose both for the practice of asana and for the practice of pranayama because it gives a good firmness to the entire length of the spine. We will now see how to do Virasana. We will now give you the instructions for Virasana. First, you start by standing on your knees. You will kneel down. From that point, you open your legs and shins such that the feet are a little wider than hip width apart. There, the practitioner then bends forward to place the forehead on the ground, while at the same time, he inserts the web of the finger, that is the web or the joining between the forefinger and the thumb is inserted at the back of the knee. It should be fully wedged towards the back of the knee. There, the calf muscle is pulled down such that you make a clearing or space at the back of the knee, and then the pulled down calf muscle is sharply rotated out to give space for this thigh to extend back and be placed between the heels. The buttocks have to come then between the heels. As you finish this, the hand is taken and it's kept cup shaped by the sides of the hip. As you see, the heels fall on either side of the hip. The heels are rotated out and then the toes are extended back. Again, the heels should not fall into the femur. I will show you with some space. The heels are rotated out and then the toes are all pointing backwards. In this position, you keep the hands cup shaped, widen the collarbones, pull the back ribs in, sharply raise the sternum. It's important that the sacrum does not round or fall back. You have to pull the sacrum into the pose and then anteriorly raise the spine. The abdomen should always support the lumbar spine. The lumbar should not be strained. In this position, you have to raise the sides of the body. Coming to the thighs should be rolled in while sitting, and at the end of sitting, you have to sit such that you are able to add density and weight to the thigh. You don't sit lightly, you have to sit with a powerful application of the thigh. The thigh will be pressed down such that the entire length of the shin touches the floor. With that, you will have to once again raise the spine up. This is the first position with the hands by the side. I would like to explain something, that usually there is a strong contact between the big toe and the ground. But as you move to the little toe, it's a very feeble contact. But the fact is the entire length of the foot should be evenly touching the ground. For this, the practitioner takes the heel of the palm, which is the base of the palm, towards the wrist, presses the outer edges of the foot so that gives a good rotation to the heel outside and an amplified rotation to the calf muscle and encouraging the placement of the shin. You have to pull the back ribs in again and raise the spine up. The sacrum should be engaged in the pose, the lumbar should be settled and the collarbones should be widened. This is the second position where the hands are pressed on the sides or the outer edge, the little toe side of the foot. From this position onwards, in order to deepen the engagement of the back ribs, the practitioner then moves to the third position where the hands are taken to the top of the knee. You have to hook the hand around the entire front of the knee, therefore the spine moves a little forward. But here, instead of collapsing the spine, gripping the hand around the knee, you have to sharply engage the back ribs and raise the spine up. The spine has to challenge the extension of the hand such that the more the spine goes up, the more the hands are straightened, and the more the spine goes up, the more the sternum sharply lifts up. Here, instead of projecting the head forward, you have to raise the side of the body, relax the shoulder, raise the sternum, and the extension, the groundedness of the thigh, the extension of the arm, and the raise of the sides of the body will all challenge each other. This is the third position where the hand goes on top of the knee. In the fourth position, we move to Parvatasana where the hands are interlocked in Baddanguli Asana. Interlocking the hands, you are then inverting the hands such that the surface of the palm is parallel. You see here when I project my fingers, the surface of my palm isn't parallel. You have to make sure that the surface of the palm is parallel as if it was placed on a flat surface. There, from Baddanguli Asana, you knit and lock your elbows in and raise the side of the body to raise your arms up. Here, the more the spine raises, the more you have to root and suck the thigh down towards the floor. The arm locks at the elbow, moves behind the ear, the back ribs are engaged, and the sternum should be lifted tall. In this position, there is one interlock in which the first little finger is down, and then you have to do it the second time where the other little finger is down. Therefore, this asana, Parvatasana, has to be done twice, interchanging the ways in which the hands are interlocked. From there, the practitioner descends the hand in front. You have to reverse the interlock and once again bring the hands by the sides of the hip. From there, you will have to stand up, release your legs in front, sit in Dandasana, therefore the legs are able to stretch once again, releasing the knees and thighs. We are now looking at some of the variations in Virasana. Sitting poses, Virasana, Baddhakonasana, etc. are very versatile. Usually these poses present themselves in several other categories as well. For example, Virasana can be a forward bend as Adho-Mukha Virasana. It could be a back bend. That is from Virasana we raise in Ushtrasana, Bekasana. Similarly, it could be there on an inversion. One of the variations of Shirshasana is Shirshasana in Virasana, etc. So this is a very versatile pose. I would now like to showcase two variations of Virasana. The first being Adho-Mukha Virasana. For Adho-Mukha Virasana, the practitioner starts from Virasana. Here, as you can see, he is sitting with his buttocks placed between the heels. But for Adho-Mukha Virasana, the practitioner must raise up, join the feet together in such a way that the big toes touch. At the same time, the knees should be widened. The knees are widened until the sides of the body can fit within the space between the inner thighs. So it's not too wide, it's not too narrow. How much do you separate the thighs? You separate them until the body can slip into the distance between the inner thighs. Once again, that is the distance between the knee. As far as the feet are concerned, the big toes should just about touch each other. They don't crush or cross each other. So neither the crushing nor the crossing happens. The big toes just touch each other. The heels have to roll out in such a way that the right buttock bone is placed on top of the right heel and the left buttock bone is placed on top of the left heel, and the weight between the two, or the contact of the right buttock on the right heel and left buttock on the left heel, is equal. Keeping that, the practitioner will just first spend some time sitting tall with the chest up, spine erect and shoulders rolled back. The entire length of the shin bone must touch the ground. The shin bone should not rise up or lose contact. It's almost as if from the top of the thigh, you're adding the weight of the thigh to the shin bone such that the contact or the density of the shin increases. From there, the practitioner has to take the hands in front of the knee halfway, so that as you can see, he's not going down fully yet. The hands are just cup shaped in front of the knee. The hand going front must be from the back ribs. I'll show you what the opposite means. If the back ribs were to be tucked in and the hands were going in front, that would be a wrong action. So you have to place the hand just ahead of the knee and really pull the back ribs in the kidney band, as if it is from the back ribs the hands are extending forward. So you have to take one step at a time. Every time you go, you have to pull the back ribs in, raise the sternum up. So really it's not about crashing to the floor, it's about extending the spine with every nuanced movement. So every step the hand goes forward, pull the back ribs in, engage the kidney band sharply, raise the sternum up and then move forward until the hands are fully extended and the spine is really long on the ground. The tendency usually is, in order to take the spine lower or place it on the ground, the tendency is to generally lift the buttock. That shouldn't be happening. The buttock should be firmly placed on the heel bone. This you should think of like a power circuit. The circuit here must remain connected between the buttock and the heel. Connecting that, keeping this connection firm, you really have to grow the spine forward, spine through the hands, through the palm, and then finally you place the forehead on the floor. This variation, Adhomukha Virasana, is also highly restorative. In fact, it helps with migraines, headaches, anxiety, stress, etc. So this is one of the forward bending variations of Adhomukha Virasana. In this, we will show you how props can now be used. We will now see how to do Virasana using props. Sometimes people find it hard to sit in Virasana with the buttocks resting on the floor. In this case, you will sit on a height. Here, the height used is a bolster. Here, keeping the bolster placed between the two heels, the practitioner then descends in a way that the femur is lengthened, the hips are taken back, and then the buttocks finally rest on the bolster. If you see, here the buttocks don't move all the way towards the ground. You sit on some raised height, which reduces the amount of pain a person may feel sitting in this pose. Virasana is a very important pose to practice, and hence using the height as a solution to practice this pose and not ignore this pose is important. We have to see ways by which the pose may be practiced, as it's very important for the health of the knee as well as serves as a good position for pranayama. This height that we are currently using is a bolster. Nevertheless, you may use a block or further raise a height by using a bolster padded with a few blankets if a further raise is necessary. We will then address a next situation. Essentially in Virasana, the entire length of the shin should be able to rest on the ground. But many a time, the lower shin, as you see, does not touch the ground. Furthermore, this is a stretched metatarsal. But in some people, the metatarsal may be tight and may not have the capacity to extend. In this kind of a state, when a practitioner tries to sit in Virasana, it can be quite painful on the metatarsal. Then we'll have to see a way by which such practitioners can still have the benefit of practicing Virasana. This is where we use two bolsters in a particular way to help such students. We have two bolsters placed one in front of the other, and then the practitioner kneels on top of the bolster with the knees joined and the feet apart. Here, the feet are apart in a way that the shin completely touches, and the metatarsal that essentially was straining and standing up is able to curve over the curve of the bolster and then rest on it. So here it is a supported pose where the metatarsals are supported by the bolster. In this position, when a practitioner then lowers the hip, it is done without straining the metatarsal, and at the same time the benefits of Virasana may be accrued. In cases where if practitioners have both knee strain and metatarsal strain, then apart from sitting on a bolster, you could use the height of a blanket or a block, place it for the buttock in such a way that you're also raising the surface of the buttock while also giving support for the metatarsal. So both the knee pain as well as the strain on the metatarsal may be diminished. These are temporary variations. There are several variations for Virasana depending on a person's constitution as well as condition. We've discussed two of them now for the benefit of the practitioners. Nevertheless, these prop usages should give you an idea as to how to approach a classical pose. I would now like to throw some detail on some of the actions that we mentioned. One is how to sit. Very many times while going to Virasana, you will see practitioners quickly sitting, tucking the butt in. While the buttock gets tucked in, the spine face becomes collapsed, and then I'd like you to observe the length of the leg when the buttock is tucked. This is a thicker and stockier thigh than when you're actually taking time to lengthen the thigh, lengthen the thigh, lengthen the thigh and move back. The latter thigh is much longer and thinner than this thigh, which is thicker and stockier. I hope you're able to catch that understanding. It's important to move the femur back, lengthen the thigh as we sit on the buttock bone, rather than tuck the buttock in, which flattens and thickens the thigh. This is a dull thigh. The first one that I showed, where the femur is long, is an alert thigh. We have to sit in a long, firmly placed femur so that the spine can be active. The second is the action of the calf muscle and the shin. When you place the leg down, you have to place the entire length of the shin down, which plasters the whole shin bone down to the ground. This kind of a delicate placement will have a lack of firmness, so you have to lengthen the metatarsals back and place the entire shin bone on the ground. Then, while inserting your hand, you have to place the forehead down, take the fingers, web of the fingers in, sharply pull the calf muscle away from the socket. This is when the calf muscle jams into the back of the knee. The calf muscle has to be pulled away from the back of the knee, rolled out. You see, when I rolled out, the heel automatically gives way. The calf muscle must be rolled out, upon which you have to create a long femur. Here, the inner calf muscle aligns with the outer thigh. The calf muscle has gone out, so the inside of the calf muscle comes in line with the outer thigh. It is not this situation. This is wrong and restrictive. The heel falls in. This is correct. That is the second action to know. The third is, some people sit in Virasana like this, where the heel is turned out. This can be damaging for the knee and the entire length of the leg. This is a wrong action. You have to make sure that the heels are turned out and the calf muscles, the toes are long. The heels have to be turned out and the toes should be long. This is wrong action. The heel shouldn't come in. The heel should roll out and all the toenails should be long and far reaching at the back. In today's episode, we saw the classical pose Virasana and two specific prop variations on how the prop may be used to address knee pain as well as pain on the metatarsal and the lower shin. However, there are very many prop variations depending on every student's specific condition and state of health. This must be practiced under the guidance of an experienced instructor. In Virasana, because the legs are folded, it gives complete mobility to the knee joint. It helps with conditions such as osteoarthritis of the knee and hip, which are degenerative conditions. Also, in the Parvatasana variations, the hand is interlocked and then turned upward. This mobilizes the shoulder, elbow as well as the wrist. In cases of carpal tunnel syndrome, osteoarthritis of the shoulder, tennis elbow, these variations prove to be very helpful. Also, when we sit in pranayama, it's important that the entire length of the spine is tall and straight. When we sit in Virasana, the spine length is never compromised and the paraspinal muscles are well opened. This gives a good distribution of energy throughout. Naturally in Virasana, there is a good uniform distribution of energy. And therefore, this is a very suitable pose for the practice of pranayama as well. Therefore, Virasana must be practiced regularly. This is the last of the poses in this series that we are seeing in the Upavishta or seated segment. The next segment we will be moving to forward bends. Until now, we've seen standing poses and seated poses. Standing poses give the necessary firmness and stability for forward bends, and seated poses give the spinal concavity that is absolutely mandatory to progress into forward bends. And therefore, in the upcoming segment, we will start with forward bends. Until then, thank you.